Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Well, tonight we're reading from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 3, text number 40. Page number 186. Indriyani Mano Buddhir Ashadhistanam Uchate Etar Mohati Esha Yanam Abhijja Dainam Indriyani Mano Buddhir Ashadhistanam Uchate Etavimo Hati Esha Yanam Abhijja Dainam. Word for word. Indriyani, the senses. Mana, the mind. Buddhi, the intelligence. Asya, of the lust. Ishtanam, sitting place. Ujjate is called. By all these. Vimohajati, wilders. Esha, this lust. Jnanam, knowledge. Rija, covering. Dainam, of the embodied. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. The senses, the mind, and the intelligence are the sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of living entity and bewilders him. Purport. The enemy has captured different strategic positions in the body of the conditioned soul. Therefore, Lord Krishna gives hints of those places so that one who wants to conquer the enemy may know where he can be found. Mind is the center of all activities of the senses. Thus, when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification, and as a result, the mind and senses become repositories of lust. Next, the intelligent department becomes the capital of such lustful propensities. Intelligence is the immediate next-door neighbor of the spirit soul. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify himself with matter, thus with the mind and senses. Spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. This false identification of the spirit soul is very nicely explained in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:84-13. Yashatma buddhir kukmate chituktake swadi kalatradishu boma ijadi yat tirta buddhi sale na kachicha kahicha janeshu abneshu saeva gokura. A human being who identifies this body made of three elements with the self, who considers the byproducts of his body to be his kinsmen, who considers the land of birth worshipable, and goes to places of pilgrimage only simply to take bath rather than meet men of transcendental knowledge there, is considered like an ass or a cow. But this does not apply to the Ganges and Yamuna. And sometimes they go, holy place, they take bath and they bring their car and wash their car at the same time. I've seen it. Omar Ganatram Jasha, Janandana Slakaya, Sakshu Tamzina, Tasme Shigurven Maha, Sri Chaitanya Marobistam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dante Swapanantikam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Sri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation once again: the senses, the mind, the intelligence, sitting place of this lust. Through this lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. So, in text number 28 it says, one who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty Arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work and devotion and work for fruitful results. So, this is the last section of the third chapter, texts 36 to 43. Beware of lust and anger. And why? Because lust, greed, and anger are the three gates to hell. So, lust is considered the enemy of the living entity. And if one is having a war, he has to go search out the enemy. And here Krishna is explaining where the enemy is in his senses, mind, and intelligence. This lust burns like fire and can never be extinguished. One king had asked his advisor, at what age does one become free from lust? And the advisor said, never. So the king said, I don't believe you. There must be some point in life when lust no longer exists. So the advisor said, well, bring your young daughter tomorrow and I'll prove it to you. So The king came with his young daughter, and they went to see an old man who was lying on his deathbed. And as soon as they entered the room, the man on the deathbed, his full attention went to the young girl. So the lust and stay with the living entity even up to the point of death if one is not practicing devotional service. It even says that men between 65 and 75 are still having sex life regularly. Even the fire god in the fourth canto, on purport, when King Prachi Bharti was having his marriage ceremony, the fire god became attracted to his wife, wanted to have sex with his wife. And we know Indra had sex with someone else's wife and was cursed, and he had vaginas all over his body. So that wasn't very nice to look at. So they counteracted the curse by turning those into eyes. So when you see pictures of Indra, that's why he has eyes all over his body, because he's always getting himself in trouble by doing lusty things, different things. So the demigods are not free from lust. The human beings are not free from lust. Animals are not. No one is free from lust in the material world. But there's a difference between the demigods and human beings. Human beings, they commit sinful activities, especially if they have illicit sex life, then they have to go to Yamaraj and get judged and punished. But the demigods, they commit sinful activities, but they don't go to Yamaraj because they have their karma is such that due to pious activities, they can enjoy the heavenly planets until their time runs out. And then they fall down back into the earth planet in the form of rain. And that rain goes in the ground in the form, and plants grow. And different living entities eat those plants or whatever fruits or flowers or vegetables, and then they produce semen, and create another living entity takes birth. That living entity, who is on the heavenly planet, takes birth again in the earthly planet and begins his sojourn or his life as a human being on the earth planet. So the lust is a very difficult enemy. Every morning we recite the prayer, or not almost every morning. Nasta prayeshu abdeshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhavati uttama sloke bhavati bhavati naistiki. And by regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all of the troubles from the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality Godhead, whose praise with transcendental song is established an irrevocable fact. As soon as the irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of material nature, passion, ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then devotee is established in goodness and becomes completely happy. Though we may be hearing Bhagavatam for many, many years, and we still have lust, greed, and anger in our heart. because he's the quality of hearing, and it's the quality of the speaker that determines the effects of the Bhagavatam class. It's like in the 10th canto, there's the description of the Rasa Leela dance. Krishna has his Rasa Leela dance with the gopis. But Sukadeva Goswami only briefly described it in the 10th canto because he was talking to a mixed audience. They weren't all pure Vaishnavas, pure devotees. But even though it says if you hear the description of the rasa dance, then you become free from lust. But this statement is described in Nectar Devotion. These statements are called Palasuti, the fruits of hearing. After every chapter, almost every chapter in different literatures, it gives the fruits. So that if you hear the Rasa Leela from the right source, with great faith and a surcharged mind, and if you're pure soul, then you get free from lust. So it's not that it doesn't work, but these statements are not applicable, do not apply to everyone. You have to have faith and a spiritually surcharged mind. Then you can get the result. But we should continue to hear the pastimes of the Lord from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. These will help us to get free from the lust that's in the heart. And in the Rupa Goswami says, Vacha Vegam Marasakoda Vegam, Jiva Vegam Udara Pasta Vegam, Itam Vegam Yo Vishishta Dira, Sarvam Apimam Pititim Sashishat. A sober person who can tolerate the urge to speak, the mind's demands, the actions of anger, urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. So, this is the quality of the spiritual master, or anyone who's giving the Bhagavatam class should have full control of his senses, or at least trying to have full control of his senses. That's the tongue. Sarira avijaja, we say that prayer before prasadam. Tongue is most gracious and difficult to control. But if you control the tongue by only eating Krishna prasadam at regulated times, and if you eat frugally, which means you put 1/4 air in your stomach, 1/4 water, 1/2 prasadam. Haridas Thakur was sitting in a hut chanting Hare Krishna all day long. And one person, his name was Ramachandra Khan, became envious that Haridas Thakur was getting so much respect. It happens to devotees for no reason. People are envious, and people don't like us, give us trouble. So this Ramachandra Khan decided that he would defame Haridas Thakur. So he called for some prostitutes, and he said that, I want you to go and make Haridas Thakur fall down so we can defame him. So one prostitute agreed, said, I will go and do the job. So she went to Haridas Thakur and said, she went in the night time, And Haridasa Kaur was sitting there chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And she was very beautiful, and he was a young man. So she said that you're a very beautiful young man. I want to enjoy with you. Haridasa Kaur said, okay, I will enjoy with you, but there's one condition. I made a vow to chant 300,000 names a day, and have not finished chanting my rounds. So when I finish my rounds, then I'll fulfill your desires. So you just sit down here and wait. So she did that. She sat down in the hut of Haridasa Kaur, which had a tulsi plant in front, and Haridasa Kaur just chanted all night. So when the night ended and daybreak came, he apologized to the prostitute and said, I'm sorry, I couldn't finish my rounds today. You come back tomorrow. So this happened for 3 nights. The third night, the prostitute, it happened for 2 nights. And the third night, the prostitute went to Haridasa Kaur and she confessed that she was sent by Ramachandra Khan to make him fall down. And Haridasa Kaur said, yes, I know that Ramachandra Khan is just a foolish person and you came here to make me fall down, but I stayed here, otherwise I would have left this place 3 days ago. But I stayed here just for your benefit. So now the prostitute asked Haridasa Kaur if she could become his disciple. So Haridasa Kaur said, yes, first of all, give away all your possessions and just keep one cloth. Then come back. So she did that. She came back, and Haridasa Kaur instructed her to sit there and chant 300,000 names every day. And she ate very frugally, which means 1/4 air, 1/4 water, and 1/2 prasad. So whatever people brought her, she would eat, and if no one brought anything, she would fast. In this way, she became lean and thin, but she conquered over her senses and was no longer a lusty prostitute. So this is the way to conquer over lust, is by controlling the tongue, only eating Krishna prasadam at regulated times, and only eating what is necessary to keep the body and soul together. It also says in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, no, it says in the that there's a prayer in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Oh my Lord, there's no limit to the unwanted orders of lusty desires. Although I've rendered them so much service, they have not shown any mercy to me. I have not been ashamed to serve them, nor have I even desired to give them up. O my Lord, O head of the Yadav dynasty, recently, however, my intelligence has been awakened, and now I'm giving them up. Due to transcendental intelligence, I now refuse to obey the unwanted orders of these desires. Now I know, now I come to you to surrender myself at your lotus feet. Kindly engage me in your personal service. So the whole material world is going on because of this mistaken idea that to enjoy the senses will bring us true happiness. But the senses can never be satisfied. No matter how much sex life one has, he's never satisfied, because to try to satisfy the senses is like putting fuel in a fire to put the fire out. It just burns more and more and more. So the lust is the enemy in our bodies. And those who are fortunate to take birth in the Krishna conscious movement can grow up in a Krishna conscious way, and hopefully they'll stay devotees and not become victim to lust or sex life. But the four Kumaras, they were sons of Lord Brahma. When they took birth, Lord Brahma ordered them to grow up, get married, and populate the world. But they said, no, we're not going to do that. We want to stay brahmachari. So the four Kumaras never got older than 4 or 5 years old, because children do not have any lusty desires, and therefore, as long as they stay 4 or 5 years old, there's no chance of them falling victim to sex life and sense gratification. Of course, Lord Brahma wasn't pleased with that. He became angry, and then Lord Shiva wasn't born from his forehead, Rudra. But we have no power. The four Kumaras are Shaktavesh avatars. They have the power to do that, to stay 4 or 5 years old, even though the most intelligent living beings. They live on top of Lok, which is one of the higher planets for people who practice celibacy their whole life. If you practice celibacy your whole life, but you can go to Tapalok, but you don't get out of the material world. But in Tapalok, they are performing devotional service. Janalok, Tapalok, Mahalok, places where devotional service is being performed, and those residents go back to Godhead at the end of Brahma's life. So the enemy is lust. And the lust takes place when we got the process of thinking, feeling, and willing. So we see something that attracts us, and then we have a feeling we should enjoy it, and then we take action. So whether it's lusting over a woman or food or something, many things we become attracted to in the material world. So the whole modern civilization, from the day you're born, is geared to keep people in a lusty condition. Because they don't know that lust is a enemy. Here it says that lust is the enemy, binding force, which covers one's real knowledge. So they purposely advertise on television, on the billboards, on the products. The advertisements has a beautiful man or a beautiful woman picture. So wherever you look, you can be agitated for sex life, and lusty desires are there. Unless you're a horse, they put blinders on a horse like this, so when he walks, he'll not get distracted. He'll walk straight. So we have to wear blinders if we go in the material world. But still, devotees go on Harinam, do Rath Yatras and different things, and sometimes we are attracted by the opposite sex, especially nowadays in the summer season. The women don't wear hardly any clothes, and it's become legal to not wear any clothes at different beaches, different places where people go swimming. So more and more the world is becoming degraded, and more people are being implicated in this lusty propensities. And crime rate, rape, and child abuse, all these things are increasing more and more because they're making people that way, making people crazy to want to have these things, especially sex life. And it says when one isn't satisfied, then he becomes angry. So it's this is a warning that the enemy is lust, and the lust is in the mind, the senses, mind, and intelligence. But they don't know that. We have a gross body made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And we have a subtle body made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. And above all that is the soul. But they don't teach that in any schools. When Prabhupada was in America, he went to MIT, which is one of the best Institute of Technology in Massachusetts. And he said, "Where is your department? They have so many departments to teach so many things to people, but where's the department to teach people about the soul, about the identity of the living entity?" No such department exists. And not only that they don't believe in the soul, but they think that life is, you only go around one time in life. One man was notified by a doctor that you have 2 years to live. And so instead of coming to Vrindavan and doing bhajan, he just went all over the world and did all kinds of crazy things to try to enjoy his sense gratification. This was a television program a long time back, before I was a devotee. So this notice is there for everyone that death will come. Janma Mrityu Jaravadi, birth, disease, old age, and death is there for everyone. So we have to prepare for death. And when we're not so fortunate, Maharaj Parikshit was cursed by a 12-year-old boy to die within 7 days. So he had notice that he was going to die. King Kadbanga, he also had notice. He was fighting with the demigods for many years, and they asked him to ask for a benediction, a boon. So he said, "Okay, well, let me know when I'm going to die." And they said, "You're going to die in just a few moments." So he came back to Earth's planet, and surrendered fully. Went to the temple, surrendered to Krishna. Krishna says, Sarvadhamma Prikshija, Mamikam Saranamaja, Ham Tvam Sarvabhavino, Mokshashami, Masuchaha. Just surrender unto me. Give up all varieties of religiosity, all protection, all sinful activities. Do not fear. So Maharaj Kirtavanga became fully Krishna conscious in a few moments. Maharaj Parikshit got 7 days' notice. So he was the king of the world. He had opulences, he had family, he had treasury, he had animals, he had so many things that he could have been attached to. But when he got notice that he was going to die in 7 days, he renounced everything, left his city, left his position, and went to sit down on the bank of the Ganges. Sometimes it says Yamuna, sometimes Ganges. Anyway, he went down to sit down on the bank of the Ganges or Yamuna and prepared himself. And in that way, he gave up eating, sleeping, all bodily activities. Then Sukadeva Goswami, who was born, when he was in the womb, refused to come out of his mother's womb because he didn't want to get entangled in the material world. But then Krishna came to him and told him that you don't have to worry, you can come out of your womb. So Sukadeva Goswami was as soon as he came out of the womb, he left home, went to the forest, and his father was chasing him. So Sukadeva Goswami wasn't wearing any clothes. He was a 16-year-old boy. And so he was passing by some women who were bathing naked in a secluded place. But when Sukadeva Goswami came by, they didn't take notice because they could understand he was a realized soul and he had no lusty desires and it couldn't be affected. But when Vyasadeva, his father, was following him, they immediately, when they saw Vyasadeva, they immediately covered themselves, knowing it was wrong to be naked in front of a man because Vyasadeva was still in Grihastha life, although he's the literal incarnation of God. So not to invoke lusty desires in him, and proper etiquette is that one should cover themselves at all times. So Sukadeva Goswami, by the arrangement of Super Soul, was sent to Maharaj Parikshit to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. So Maharaj Parikshit sat down to hear, and then all the sages from all over the universe came also to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is the spotless Purana. And as we just read, by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, the trouble of lust, greed, and anger will gradually melt away. It says that gradually these unwanted things will melt away by practicing devotional service. Just like fire, when you put wood in a fire, the fire burns the wood up. So the mode of passion and ignorance are burned up by performing devotional service, and one can come to the mode of goodness. And from the mode of goodness, one can come to pure goodness. And then Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Nasojati Nakanchati, Samasarveshu, Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. One is no longer disturbed, one is always joyful, and in this way, one can begin his spiritual life. Spiritual life begins at the Brahma Buddhist platform, when one understands that I'm not this body, that I'm a spirit soul, Hum Brahmasmi, not a Hum Mameti. Otherwise, everybody in the material world is thinking I, me, mine. This is my family, this is my possessions, everything is mine. Ishvara Aham Bogi. The man is thinking that I'm so wealthy, I have so much wealth, I'll gain more wealth. Anybody tries to stand in my way, I will kill them. And there are people like that in the world that have so much wealth and so much things, and if anybody gets in their way, they send somebody to kill them. Called the mafia. They have the mafia in America, and every day you hear about people who were killed by the mafia because they didn't pay their taxes, they didn't pay to the mafia, or they did something. They went against the mafia. So unknowingly, these people, evil-minded people like Kamsa, heard a voice from the sky. He was driving the chariot of his sister, marriage, Devaki. He heard a voice from the sky that the eighth child would be the cause of his death. So Kamsa was so cruel that he was going to kill his sister. She was actually his cousin's sister. But he was prepared to kill her on the spot. But Vasudev, he managed to pacify Kamsa and told Kamsa that if there's any children born, I'll bring them to you, and you can do as you like. So Kamsa didn't kill her. But then Kamsa did end up killing 6 children. And then the 7th child, they made it look like it was a miscarriage. And so Yogamaya was ordered by the Lord to appear in the world as Subhadra. She became the daughter of, she was born to Yasoda. And then Krishna was born to Devaki, and Vasudeva brought the baby Krishna to Vrindavan and exchanged the boy for the girl. And when she went back, when they brought her back to the prison where Vasudeva and Devaki were being kept by Kamsa, Kamsa went there to kill the baby girl. But she flew up in the sky and she said, "You fool, Kamsa, you can't kill me." And she appeared in a 10-armed form, and she said that your death is already born somewhere else. And this Durga is the wife of Lord Shiva, and Durga means fort, and she keeps everyone in the prison house of the material world. So there's the Mahamaya Durga, which keeps everyone in the material world. But if someone wants to serve Krishna, then you can get the benefit, you can serve the Yogamaya Durga. Rupa Goswami in the old Govindji temple here in Vrindavan, if you go underground, you're going to see a deity of Yogamaya, which Rupa Goswami used to worship. You have to go inside the temple and ask the pujari, and they'll take you downstairs. You can see Yogamaya. So Yogamaya, she helps the living entity get out of the material world. Mahamaya keeps the living entity in the material world. So if a person wants to disturb Krishna, we have people who dress like devotees and put on a show, but they're actually Kali Chelas. They take the devotional service just for their own selfish interest. So such people want to disturb Krishna, then Mahamaya keeps them in the material world. But if someone's a genuine devotee and serious about devotional service, then the Yogamaya will help the living entity conquer lust. So the system is the brahmachari goes to the house of the spiritual master from the ages of 5 to 25. And he's trained up how to live a life of celibacy. Now, he may become feeling the urge or lusty desire and may want to get married. So with the permission of the Guru, he can marry and become a grihastra. But even in grihastra life, one has to control his senses, and sex life is allowed only once a month at the right time to get a Krishna conscious children. So in this way, if one is a devotee his whole life and he doesn't indulge in sense gratification, unrestricted sense gratification, which will keep one in the material world. So sex life, especially in Vrindavan, is the greatest offense in the holy Dham. If people are lusty in Vrindavan, Prabhupada said that people should visit Vrindavan only for 3 days. So we have a system, life members can come and stay in the guest house for 3 days for free. Because after 3 days they may again take to their sinful activities. So better not to commit grievous offenses in the holy Dham, better to make short visits than come here and stay for long periods. And if someone is sinful, then he doesn't go back to Godhead when he leaves his body. He takes an animal birth, and that animal birth is a short birth. He gets free from his sin, then he can go back to Godhead. But Prabhupada said we should be very careful not to commit offenses in the holy Dham, especially sex life, and this way go back to Godhead in this life, not have to take birth again in a lower species. So in either case, by following this process of Vaidhi Bhakti, attending the morning program, chanting 16 rounds, following the 4 principles, no meeting, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex, then we may be bothered by lusty desires, but our intelligence tells us that we should not listen to the mind. The mind is the best of friends. If you can control your mind, it's your best friend. If you can't control your mind, it becomes your worst enemy. So, with the intelligence, we control our mind. The mind says, I want to enjoy this kind of food or that kind of food, especially when you're outside of Vrindavan, or you may be in a hotel or a restaurant or an airplane, but the intelligence tells us that it's not prasadam, it's not good for us to take this, so we don't take anything but Krishna prasadam. Of course, in an emergency, Prabhupada did say, if it was pure vegetarian, you could eat food, pure vegetarian food, if it was an emergency, by offering it in your mind. But generally, we don't eat anything cooked by non-devotees. Because if you eat food grains cooked by non-devotees, it makes your mind wicked. So in this way, the whole process of Krishna consciousness is to keep one in a controlled condition, so we be peaceful, so we can chant Hare Krishna and be happy and not have to take birth again in this material world. So therefore, it's advisable that those who are living in Vrindavan utilize their time very carefully, 24 hours a day, thinking about the name, form, qualities, pastimes of Krishna. Of course, when you can't do that, we also have to do service. Prabhupada wanted always to do 8 hours of service in Vrindavan. Sometimes in the summertime it may be too hot to do that much service, but in the beginning Prabhupada wanted everyone to attend Mangal Artik, Noon Artik, and Gaur Artik. He wanted to keep the devotees engaged as much as possible. So 16 rounds every day of the Maha Mantra is the minimum. If you have free time, you can chant as much as possible, 32 or 64 rounds. You can attend the kirtan in the temple room. You can take your time, read Prabhupada books. 1 hour a day, we should read Prabhupada books, all of Prabhupada's books. He says, if you don't read my books, you'll become lazy. So if you read the Prabhupada's books and read Prabhupada's purports, in this way we'll stay on the spiritual platform and not become victimized by lust, greed, and anger. So we'll stop there. Those who are sleepers can wake up. Any questions, comments? So we're all free from lust, and we're all going back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.